All right, so I'm going to do number 10 on Poly 19. And you see it says 2x to the fourth plus 18x to the third plus 29x squared minus 60x minus 25. So the first thing you notice is that it has 5 terms. And it doesn't look like I could rearrange the terms in order to help me factor this. So my only choice is to go to my calculator. As soon as I've decided that I cannot factor this, I have to go to my calculator. So I'm going to go to my calculator and I'm going to put it into my Y editor. And you can see I've already done that. You want to double check to make sure you put your equation in correctly, because if you mess it up at this point, everything else will be wrong. And then you want to graph it in a good window. Again, I've already done that. And then when you go to do your work, remember, if you use your calculator window to solve the problem, you must draw the window. So if I go here, you can see that I've drawn the window, I've put in my maxes, and this is a good window. There's not a lot of white spaces. I can see all my twists and turns. So this would be a good window. So the first thing I notice on my graph, and I'm actually going to go back to the one on the calculator, is it just touches the x-axis at this point, which means that it bounces on the x-axis, or it's tangent to the x-axis. That will tell us that that root is a root more than once, or an even number of times. In this case, probably twice. Now, it looks like that is -5, but we can confirm that if we go to our table. We can confirm that at -5, right there, -5, y is 0. So that, in fact, tells you that -5 is one of the roots. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use -5, and I'm going to use synthetic division. If I use it twice, that will make this x to the fourth equation and an x squared equation, and then I'll be able to solve the problem. So just because of space, I'm going to erase my graph here, just so I have a little bit more room. But of course, you would leave yours on your work. All right, so I'm going to use synthetic division 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. I don't need to put any zeros in, but you always want to check that. So 2, 18, 29, -60, -25. All right. So I'm going to go -5. I'm going to bring down the 2. I'm going to multiply. I'm going to add. I will multiply. I will add. I will multiply. I will add. I will multiply. I will add. This must be a 0 because we've determined that -5 is a root. So if you don't get 0 here, then you must have done something wrong. I'd go back and check my math. But I know that it is a root an even number of times. So I'm just going to continue, and I'm going to do -5 again. So I'm going to bring down the 2. I'm going to multiply. So this will be -10. I will add. I'm going to multiply. I will add. I will multiply. And again, this is 0, and it really has to be 0 because we know that -5 is a root more than once. So now what we have left is, remember, we started with x to the fourth. These would be the coefficients for an x to the third. So these are the coefficients for an x squared. So I have 2x squared minus 2x minus 1 equals 0. And now this is a quadratic equation, and now I know that I can solve a quadratic equation. So I'm going to go right to my quadratic formula. It doesn't look like it's factorable. I could try that for a minute, but I think I'm just going to go right to my quadratic equation. So x equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And if we simplify this, I don't want to run out of room. This will be the square root. A negative times a negative is a positive, so there'll be 4 plus 8, so that'll be 12 all over 4. And that'll be 2 plus or minus, if I simplify the square root of 12, that'll be 2 times the square root of 3 all over 4. If I can simplify all 3 numbers, I should do that. So therefore, it would be 1 plus or minus the square root of 3 all over 2. So that's one of my answers, and -5 is my other answer, and it is a double root. Now, I believe on the answer key, I forgot the 2 in the denominator, but this would be the correct answer.